And India didn't have free public education over there back then. So I want to go out there to any of the communities that I want to select down the road when I have enough money, build a school for the children, build a house for them to live in there, and also find a job for their parents so they're stabilized, like a small community. That's what I want to build. And when they come out of school and universities over there, they could give back to the community. And this community just keeps on self-sustained by itself.
Welcome, millionaires and future millionaires. You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, a show where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their portfolio allocation. Now to your host, Jace Mattinson.
Welcome back to another episode of Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 299. Stace, what's going on? How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great over here, and I'm just excited. This is kind of this is like saying goodnight to the 200s, and next week we'll be waking up to episode 300 on Monday morning. So this is exciting.
It's pretty crazy. Before we do, I hope everybody had a great Father's Day and a great holiday on June 19th. I know we did. It's been, I guess this is my 5th Father's Day, and I was just thinking as we approach episode 300, this podcast, to some degree, got its start about 6 years ago, even though the first episode didn't come out till November of 17, whatever that was. No, yeah, 17. But yeah, this podcast is older than any of our children. So I guess it was the first child in some
your
respects.
First baby.
Yeah, first baby in some respects back in the day. And
I didn't gain any weight with this one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, it's going to be an epic episode. I'm super excited for episode 300, another milestone going into the 300s. So as part of that, I thought today we would have, as the departing show, the 200s, have a returning guest. So this week we've got Max. He was a guest on episode 172, where he had just reached millionaire status, and now a couple years later we got an update from him, and he tells us that his net worth is anywhere from 3 to 5 million, and he basically stopped counting. So we're going to get into the detail on how he has essentially gone from 1 million to in between 3 and 5 in just a couple of years. So it's going to be a great episode with him. Last week we had Jordan. He had a net worth of $1 million. Just about over half of it was in retirement vehicles, and half of it was in his business. He had a little bit of crypto and some home equity as well. Got a review that I wanted to read this week and dive into a little bit. I get this question from time to time. This comes from General QT. Says, hi, new to the podcast, and I really appreciate the great work and content. Question, is net worth here really total value of assets? For example, Stu, the firefighter, owns several properties that all have mortgages on them, not owned outright. His figure is total value of assets correct? Question mark. Thank you for what you have put into the show. So the answer to that question is no. It is not the total value of assets that we publish on the show. It's actually net worth. So to get there, you add up all your assets, subtract your liabilities, and that gets you to your net worth. And that is what we publish. And so the equity that is in some of those properties, for example, for him specifically, for the episode with Stu a few episodes ago, is added to his net worth, and that is what we publish now.
Jace, for any of our newer listeners, would you like to outline what the term liabilities means?
Yeah, I guess probably should go into all of that. So an asset is something that you own, that you have, either title to, or, cash in the bank, or a stock, or mutual fund, retirement account, something that has your name on it. And liability is something that you owe to somebody else. So, a mortgage, for example, that credit card payment that you might have that you owe the credit card company, maybe a car note, you owe money for that car that they gave you to buy it. So any type of thing that you own essentially fits in those liabilities. It can get a lot more complex than just that, but for most people and purposes in personal finance, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Super. And if you have equity in any of those, that means
you add it to your net worth. You add up all the assets, subtract all the liabilities, and that is your net worth.
Thank you.
One way you could look at it too is if you went to sell all of your assets, sold everything, and paid off all the debt that you might have on any of, if you have any of it, how much cash would you actually have? And that would be another way to calculate. It gets a little more complex with taxes and everything else in there, but simple enough to understand that what we're trying to, or what we're getting at, is basically what you would have left over in cash if you sold everything and paid everything off.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Great question. I know sometimes people get confused between kind of terminologies and whatnot, but at the end of the day, that's how we calculate net worth. And it is, in most cases, unless stated otherwise, also household net worth. So we don't divide by 50% if a couple's married or anything like that. If they are divorced or they are single, we try to note that in most cases. But yeah, so great question. Appreciate that. And appreciate you listening to the podcast. In fact, I'd love you to, if you haven't already, to leave a rating review. iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify's been taking off lately. If that's the place you'd like to go, a little bit more interaction there as well. Might start creating some polls and some other things there, but we'll see. If you'd like to be on the show, send us an email, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. We'll get you scheduled and get you on the calendar to record. So, without any further delay, let's get into today's episode with Max. In the show, we have a returning guest. We have Max. You may remember him from episode 172. It was quite some time ago. At the time, Max had a net worth of $1 million. And now, Max, where's the net worth?
Between 3 to 5.
Holy cow. Stop counting. Wow. So 172, we had you on a couple years ago. I guess that was almost in the middle of height of COVID.
We were at 2020 July. That's when we had it.
Yeah, July 2020. So it's a few months after COVID became a thing. And I guess most places in the country were still probably feeling some lockdown. So, in 2.5 years, call it, you maybe, almost 3, you've gone from 1 to 3, between 3 and 5. Give us the update.
Yep.
What is the, back then you had a gas station, maybe a little bit of real estate, and what does it look like now?
So back then I had a gas station with real estate, which I was running 100 hours a week. But then I slowly diversified my revenue stream to single family rentals. Then I got 6 of those. Then I bought some Airbnbs in Panama City Beach, moved to Panama City Beach. Then I bought a hotel in Texas with my partners. And I started looking into developing new construction homes in 2021. I did 6 of them, and then I jumped into multifamily, and we did 4 deals in last 3 months.
Hold on here for a second. So let's back up, because we got all sorts of, you're getting all sorts of diversification here. So the first, you bought 6 what now?
Long-term rentals.
Long-term rentals, okay. So all of those were single family?
Yes, sir.
Homes, okay. And that came after the gas station, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it took profits from the gas station, put them into single family homes, and then what was after that?
Then I bought me a personal home.
Okay, so bought a personal home, and then Airbnbs?
Then I bought 2 Airbnbs in Panama City Beach and a hotel.
And a hotel.
In Texas.
How many rooms is the hotel?
68 doors.
68, okay. And then?
Yep. Then I started developing new single-family homes in Panama City Beach.
Okay, so ground-up development, new construction?
Yep. So I did 6. Yep, I did 6 of them. Then I started jumping into multifamily syndications and stuff like that as a general partner.
Holy cow. So as it stands today, do you still own all that?
Yep.
So you got a couple Airbnbs, 6 single-family rentals, or I guess 12 single-family rentals? Because you developed 6 and bought 6?
Yeah, I sold all of them, new developments.
Oh, you sold all the new ones. So it was build to sell. Okay. And then you've got the Airbnbs, you got the hotel.
Yep.
And now you're syndicating big multifamily deals?
Yes, sir.
Holy cow. So I guess real estate makes up most of your net worth at this point?
100% of it, besides the cash on hand.
Yeah. Wow. And do you outsource the management of these, or do you manage them all yourselves?
So all the multifamilies are managed by property managers. I do asset management on two of them, but the rest of them are outsourced. I had to fire actually my PM on Airbnbs because he was horrible. So right now I'm self-managing it, but I'm about to hire a second PM for that and train them.
Interesting. So has this been a strategy of each year you try something new?
Yeah, that's my whole goal was to diversify away from gas station. It was just a starter for me because back then I knew how to run and operate and stuff like that besides the hotel. But then I was like, gas station doesn't have future in next 15 years, so I gotta do something now or left behind.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, and it's interesting you bring that up because I live in Texas, and I drove by or I stopped at a Buc-ee's recently, which if anybody's been to Texas, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, gas stations you've ever seen in your life. And It was interesting because they had just installed, I think it was like 56 Tesla charging stations on property there for the Buc-ee's, which, we talked about this, I think, on your first episode, that you see some of the writing on the wall as we move more to electric power vehicles, and there's all sorts of theories on when, we may be completely to that point. But at any rate, from your perspective, from a business and investment standpoint, you didn't want to be 100% focused and in the gas station business. And so you wanted to diversify, given that may occur in your world, right?
Yes, sir. So let me add one more thing I forgot. I bought a second gas station too afterward first and sold that one. That's about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow. So bought one and sold one since you've been on the podcast?
Yeah, I bought the first one and I still have that one. And then I bought the second one.
Oh my goodness.
So I bought the second gas station in the March of 2021. I ran that one as well, open to close, about 100 hours a week. Then I had a death in my family. My father died and I had a newborn child at the same time. So I wasn't keen enough to run both of them at the same time. So I had to let go one of them up to a year and a half.
And when you sold the first gas station and I guess the second one, are you 1031ing into some of the other properties, or what did you do with the proceeds?
That I bought originally, but the second one when I bought it and I sold it, I was gonna do 1031, but I didn't do it 1031, and I just flipped that whole thing into the syndication. With the bonus depreciation, I had 90% depreciation year one, so it didn't make sense to do 1031. If I was getting 90% depreciation year one, might as well buy something else or donate some money to charity and stuff like that and get that 100% returns.
Right.
So, but not from now on, yes, 1031. That's why when I sold the 6 homes, I did 1031 to syndications too.
So the gas stations, where are all the funds for your other investments coming from the sale of the initial investments, or are you rolling in like the income from your business investments into these multifamily investments and syndications? Like how are you doing all that?
So original gas station funded my rental properties, and the rental properties funded me my new construction stuff, as well as Airbnbs and hotels. It was the same time gas station revenue. And the second gas station was also funded by the first station. But when I sold the second one, I had an option of either 1031 or flip it into syndications of multifamily, which I was studying from last 2 years. So when my partner brought me a deal, I told him I want to be a GP and I'll raise some money. But if I can't raise, I'll put my own money too. But the deal was so solid, I raised money in 2 days that I was supposed to raise, and I put my money too.
And are these deals that you're doing, are most of them around where you live?
No, the syndications are all over the place. I have some in Dallas, Fort Wayne, Indiana, one in Dayton, Ohio, one in Carrollton, Georgia. But I do drive to them.
So how are you sourcing those now?
So deals are being brought to us by different brokers and wholesalers and stuff like that. And most of them are off-market deals. My partner gets them, I underwrite them, and I do due diligence on them and see if it's the right one for us or not, or for our investors, actually.
Wow, you've had quite the journey in real estate. Is there an asset class right now that you would say is your favorite?
So I would say the B-class properties in multifamily is my favorite one right now. Besides the gas station was a profitable one that I bought. It was the story of the gas station when I bought it, was bank owned, had 20 different owners. I came in, took over. I bought it at 750, which was just appraised last year at 2.9.
You bought it for how much again?
750.
Wow.
$750,000.
And it's already 2.9 million?
Yep. I ran it myself upon the close. It was a closed down station, so I went in there, did what I need to do. It took me 2 years, almost a year and a half to cash flow from there.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, Max. So I'm not sure I covered this on a prior interview, but would you mind like breaking down gas station investments and what our listeners should be thinking about in terms of that?
So yes, the gas station investment could be really lucrative, but it has a lot of challenges too, especially running them or operating side is a really headache. I wasn't finding any right PM and stuff like that or manager, so I was operating myself. But if you operate right and if you have right people, you can make some money. But it doesn't have much of a future left in it as a gas station fuel business side. You could still have convenience store side business, and you could add deli and subs and stuff like that, like Wawa does. But when I buy the properties, I look at the neighborhoods, like who lives in neighborhoods and how many people in the area. And I don't want to sound like a mean person or anything like that, but I try to get the neighborhood that doesn't have high income or people with a higher education for the gas station side of business, because most of the higher education people are smart shopper.
So
And
you mentioned that the gas stations are converting their values coming from what you can do inside of the property. So do you think that the gas stations are going to start shutting down and they'll be repurposing the real estate entirely, or it's just going to be different?
So this is how the gas station is going to look like in 20 years. If you remember back in the day, a gas station had the repair shop instead of a convenience store. Most of them converted into the convenience side with the gas station. Some of them did and converted when Absolute and closed down. So this is also a second transformation coming in. With the gas station, you're gonna have electric chargers or maybe hydrogen station, and inside will be the fast food like sandwiches and subs and hot food. You're gonna see more and more hot foods coming into the gas station side of business, and people who are mom and pops and stuff like that, if they don't have hot food in there, they're gonna be obsolete like the repair shops and gas station used to be back in the day.
I see. And my wife is in hydrogen. She actually sets up hydrogen facilities across California, but the hardest part is the space and the traffic.
Yes, and also hydrogen technology is not getting low as electric getting.
Yeah.
If we have enough funding for hydrogen, which would be better than electric, to be honest with you, because we already having power grid issues at the power station and grid area. And on top of that, we're putting more loads on electric cars and stuff like that, charging at home and businesses, which is going to put more load on electric grid that we don't have modified for it.
Yeah, absolutely. She's seen the same things.
Yep.
So Max, what do you think has been key for you to go from that $1 million mark to say 3 to 5 at this point in such a short amount of time?
So for me was an adoption to new classes of real estate. I always wanted to be in real estate, but I never had money, and I always thought that you need money to buy real estate and stuff like that, which I was way off and wrong. You don't need money to buy real estate. There's a lot of creative ways to buy some stuff in the market, and especially in the next 6 months to a year. The more creative you are, the cheaper and better deals you're gonna get, especially with owner financing and stuff like that. I just bought one home with $100 of my money at a closing, and I thought it was just $100. I would take cash, and they want a cashier's check, so I had to run down to the bank and get me a cashier's check for $100.
So, would you consider that a mindset shift that you had?
Yeah, yes, the mindset shift, and as well as goals, setting up goals and stuff like this is more important, which I wasn't doing. My wife taught me to it, and my mentor in multifamily taught me about it. But mindset is the whole thing in real estate. If you don't have a proper mindset, you're not gonna go further.
You said your wife taught you this?
Yeah, my wife kept on pushing me to do some other stuff than a gas station, and I was okay. I was making money, and I was just living my life that I never had before. Because if you remember on previous episode, I said I grew up in tent in India. And this was luxury to me when I was making money at the gas station. But my wife said, you got to do better than this. You can't be just making money here, there. 10 years later, you may or may not make money in gas stations. What you going to do then? You may be more older and you may not be able to work as many hours as you're working right now. So she opened my mind to the new real estate stuff. Then I started researching on multifamilies and rentals and stuff like that. I was renting a home back then, so I knew how much I was paying versus my mortgage would be if I had a house. But instead of buying my primary home, I bought rental properties first to pay for my mortgage and stuff like that. My primary.
Interesting. What has your mentor taught you that's helped you be successful?
So he taught me to write down the goals. Those are really important: long-term goals, mid-term goals, and short-term goals, and how to follow them, how to reach them, and always have your mindset and be positive on things, and always keep on working out on your stuff. Sometimes you may have bad days, sometimes you may have good days, but you gotta work on your stuff every day. And fitness and family, always first.
Max, has there been any books or podcasts or things that have helped you with your education and mindset?
So I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I listen to a few multifamily ones too. There are good ones out there. I was listening to Rod Cliff's podcast for like 2 years when I was at a gas station. But there are a lot of those. Then I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which everybody probably read it by now. Then I had a few more. Then I was just going through I didn't have time to read much of stuff because I was still working 100 hours a week. But I listened to a bunch of podcasts and news and stuff like that. And I follow most of the people on Facebook and LinkedIn and saw their journey and saw them making money from no money. And I thought I could do that too.
Is there a target net worth that you're trying to hit?
No, I don't target anything. That's why I stopped counting my net worth. I'm happy with what I have right now, but I just want to accumulate more so I could do more philanthropy work down the road. I want to make enough to open schools and villages and stuff like that for a poor community overseas.
Has your spending habits changed as your net worth's increased over the last couple of years?
Yes, big time. My wife started splurging a little bit more. Then I had a newborn child, and he is expensive too. So back then I was spending $30,000 a year. Now I'm spending upwards of $120 a year.
Is there any luxuries that you've been willing to splurge on during that time?
No, not a luxury, but only luxury stuff we bought was a spec home with a pool.
And when did you decide to do that?
Just the 2021, end of 2021 on December. My wife was pregnant with a child, and we were still renting in Alabama. But my wife always wanted a home in Florida, and she said, I'm not going to give birth to the baby in Alabama, so you better buy a home in Florida.
I don't know, Max, I was going to ask you a totally different question, but we've got to go into why didn't she want to have a baby in Alabama?
I have no idea. That's her mindset. She got to have a baby at nearby beach or at a beach area.
She's a Gators fan.
Yeah,
Gulf Shores, Alabama is nice, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love Alabama. Don't get me wrong. I loved it every single time I spent over there. I still missed my first home that I bought. I was renting over there. I actually bought the home that I was renting from the owner.
Yeah,
but
Alabama's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
There's some about the panhandle of Florida having a baby there. It's a little bit of paradise, I guess, huh?
Yes, sir. And I had to move to Florida too because I wasn't going to pay Alabama state taxes. Don't get me wrong. I'm all into paying taxes. But the Florida was closer to my gas stations and stuff like that too. So
Max, I don't want to pass over your comments about bringing money back to India. Where are you from there, and what is the situation like? What are you putting the money into? Infrastructure, just food? Like what is the best way to contribute to that?
So it doesn't have to be India. I grew up over there, and I experienced poverty firsthand. I don't want to target a specific country. I don't want to target just because I came from India. I want to go anywhere that needed the most first. It could be in Africa, or it could be in Myanmar or somewhere else. But I want to target the poor community, especially the children with educations. I grew up working hard to pay for my school in India. because we were poor living in tent. We came in India didn't have free public education over there back then. So I want to go out there to any of the communities that I want to select down the road when I have enough money, build a school for the children, build a house for them to live in there, and also find a job for their parents so they're stabilized, like a small community. That's what I want to build. And when they come out of school and universities over there, they could give back to the community, and this community just keeps on self-sustained by itself.
Interesting. I used to be a part of a group called Room to Read. Have you heard of that group?
No, sir, but I'm definitely gonna read on it now.
Yeah, it's a really good organization. About almost 100% of the money goes to building schools, and they don't waste money on anything other than the infrastructure and the vehicles and everything that needs to get the job done. So I never actually participated in the building of the schools, but it's very, very cost efficient, and sounds exactly like what you want to do.
Yep, I'm definitely gonna read into them now. You give me something to read tomorrow.
Very cool.
Awesome, Max. Well, let's wrap up with a couple of rapid fire questions and see if anything's changed. I'm curious, what's the most expensive meal out that you've paid for?
Well, I paid $250 just about 2 months ago.
Okay, did you celebrate anything?
No, it was just a group of people, our teammates, our team, you could say. We went out there and looked at the property, and we just went to the first restaurant we could find, and it turned out to be a 5-star restaurant. So
Okay. What's the most expensive car?
Still have the same Honda Odyssey. It was $50,000, $45 actually. But
what's been the best experience that you've had in the last couple of years since becoming a millionaire to now getting in the range of 3 to 5?
So I learned that money doesn't buy anything, and money doesn't buy happiness. When I take a vacation, it's not with my family, my wife and the kid. We don't go to a Disney World and stuff like that. We go to the places that we think we could support somebody over there. So last vacation we went to South Florida, and we went to Miami. Actually, we saw homeless. We donated him a bunch of stuff and put him on a hotel room for like a month. Giving back to communities pleases us now.
Okay. Do you have an annual giving goal?
Not really, to be honest with you. I don't have any goals. I don't target any goals, and I also stopped writing them off on my taxes because I want to give them just because I want to give them, and not because I want a tax break. So I just look when I travel, and if I see somebody or if somebody reaches out to me and if they need some sort of help, I'll be happy to help them as much as I can and best of my abilities.
Interesting. What's a closely held belief that you've changed in the last couple of years?
So the belief I changed was my mindset. I was, like I said earlier, I was set at just my station making money and just living the life that I never had. But there's so much out there in the world to do, so many people to help, so much stuff to do. We just got to do it, and we got to set our mindset to do it.
What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out?
I would say set your goals, set your mindset, and if you have a wife or a girlfriend, sit down with them and see if you are on the same path together and keep on following your goals and dreams.
What do you do to stay focused?
So I create a vision board, or sort of vision board, because I have backgrounds on my phone screen share with the list I want to do or people or a place I want to visit, and I look at them every time I open my phone. So it keeps me in check.
Naturally I got to ask, what's on there? Where do you want to visit?
So I want to go to Greece and stuff like that down the road. In India too. I want to take my kid over there. Maybe UK. I have London over there too. So
okay.
I want to explore the community and food and people.
Okay. Skill, luck, hard work. How would you rank them of importance to success?
What was that? Sorry, it was breaking up.
Luck, skill, and hard work. How would you rank them as keys to success?
Hard work is first. Skill is second. Luck doesn't have to do. You could change your own luck if you work hard.
Awesome. That's Max. Net worth of $3 to $5 million. Original episode back in 2020. 172. When we hit $1 million. Thanks for on the show today.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Jace Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website, millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.